This is the Huion Kamvas Pro 27, 144Hz version. 27 inches for a drawing tablet is huge, ginormous, real big, vast, colossal, massive. Okay, I'll put the thesaurus away. But is a tablet this big overkill? Yeah, probably. Do I like overkill? Oh man, I sure do. This is Brad. He likes to review the tech. He also likes to draw. And this here is his theme song. Most of the drawing that I do is on an iPad or an Android tablet. And even though I'm using the larger versions of those things, 13 inches or 15 inches, you just draw differently when you have something this much larger. On a smaller screen, I move my wrist too much, whereas something larger like this, I end up moving my entire arm a lot more. And that comes in handy for a lot of different drawing things. For example, drawing long, straight lines, those just come out smoother when you have a larger drawing screen like this. I also decided to go with a really detailed illustration for my testing purposes here. Every year I make a custom Christmas card, and this year I went with a Where's Waldo theme. Editor's note, I started testing this tablet before Christmas, so sorry. You're getting a Christmas drawing, even though you're probably watching this much closer to Penguin Awareness Day. I was thinking that having this big of a screen with this detailed of a drawing means that I don't have to zoom in and out as much when I'm drawing. I can really take advantage of the space that I have here, at least in theory. Let's do a little compare-y, contrasty thing because this is the second version of this 27-inch canvas that Huion has released. The last one came out about 2 years ago. And they're very, very similar, but this has updated a couple things. So first of all, these are both beautiful 4K displays. The big upgrade here is it's in the name. The new one has 144Hz refresh rate. Now, I have mixed feelings on the refresh rate. In theory, it makes the drawing experience smoother, but in practice, it's not that perceptible because the lag often happens in a drawing because of other things, like your PC's performance, or just the general optimization of the drawing app that you're using. And increasing the refresh rate of your display isn't really affecting pen lag all that much. And since I'm drawing with brush smoothing on in Clip Studio, because that gives me cleaner lines, I'm gonna see more lag anyway. But if you're someone who also wants to use this as your main monitor, maybe prop it up and use it that way when it's not on your desk, when you're not drawing, which makes a ton of sense if you have something this size. Maybe you want to use it for gaming. That makes having that 144Hz refresh rate a lot more appealing, and that's where you're really going to see the difference. For drawing, I think the upgrade is negligible, but I think it's a nice to have option for those who want it. Now the color range on this display is just a touch better than the older one, but just a tiny bit. The older one was pretty darn good. These are both using the same exact pens. This is Huion's 4.0 pen technology, which feels really good. Both of these are multi-touch displays. Both have nano etched glass, which is durable and gives you some resistance when you're drawing to make it feel a little bit better, a little less slippery, give you more control. They both come with a Huion remote, but this one, the latest one, comes with Huion's latest remote. The old one got the job done. It was fine, but the new one has a little LCD display on it, so you can see the names of the shortcuts when you're using it. So if you change things up or flip over to a different app, you don't have to memorize what every key does. You can just look at it. It's also smaller, a little bit more ergonomic, and it stays in place on the screen for the most part when you're drawing. The new version also comes with a color calibrator in the box that worked with Huion's software. But the big difference here is the price. We're talking $2,200 for the new version of the display, and right now you can buy the old version for $1,600 on Huion's website. Before we jump in any further, I want to shout out today's sponsor, Bluesky. This is a cute, mini, but mighty portable power station. This is the Bluesky Elite 10. This is a great little battery backup solution. You can use this for all sorts of stuff. A battery backup for your computer or laptop if your power ever flickers on and off and you don't want your computer to go off too. And it's also a great emergency battery for if the power ever goes off for a long time. And as I was unboxing this, I had this sudden urge to go camping, but maybe I'll wait for this blizzard to clear out first. I've used these sort of power stations before, but they were much bigger and much heavier. Having something so light and so portable, only 3.97 pounds, heck, it even has a handle, is a game changer. When you plug it in, you're going to see the LCD light up, which is going to tell you how much charge your battery has in it, the input wattage if you're charging it up through an outlet, and the output wattage if you're using it to charge something else. And when you plug it into a wall, you can charge it up in only 70 minutes. This packs 268 watt hours of storage, which is more than enough to keep your essential devices running during an outage. And you can plug in anything: phones, tablets, lamps, laptops, even small appliances. Along the side, we have a 120 volt outlet. Along the front is a DC output and a 100 watt USB-C port, which is great for laptops. And then there's these 3 ports here along the front. There's 2 USB-A's and another USB-C. Those are 15 watt outs, which are great for smaller devices like your phones or your tablets. And all of these ports can run at the same time, so you don't have to go back and forth taking turns with your family members to decide whose phone is most important to charge. Or just having to decide between, should I power up my phone or my tablet or my laptop? This can do up to 6 devices at once. Charging is simple. You just plug it in, it's going to charge up the battery. If you're on the go, you can plug it into your car, or if you have one of those portable solar panels, you can create basically a self-charging emergency station. Man, that sounds like the ultimate camping setup. I kind of want one of those little solar panels now. Does Blue Yeti sell one of those? They do! Focus, Brad. The screen display is really clean and only tells you what you need to know without a lot of extra clutter and option. It just works, which is exactly what you want if your power goes out. I'm also impressed with how quiet this thing is. There is a fan in here. You can feel like the air coming out, but it's not loud. And the design is tough and durable with 3,000 plus charging cycles. And it also comes with a 3-year warranty. Blue Yeti currently has a mystery card promotion going on. Every box comes with one of these mystery playing cards. They announce the winning combos monthly and even quarterly prizes, and a fancy grand prize like a new MacBook Air. They're currently offering a discount to you viewers of my channel. Check out my link down below in the description to learn more. Let's take a look at what we get in the box. Right off the bat, there's this fancy little envelope, and inside that is the color calibration test. Each one of these screens is tested and calibrated in the factory before it gets to you, and that really shows up here. I thought the screen out of the box, without me touching anything, the brightness, the contrast, all that stuff looks fantastic. There's also a quick start instruction sheet that tells you how to hook it up to your computer. And then of course we have the big, heavy, giant tablet itself. Along the back, you have some feet, so you can just pop this up, which is just gonna set it up at a nice drawing angle. There is no stand included here, so if you do wanna set it up as a monitor, you're gonna have to pick up a stand yourself. Now the good news here is there's also room for a VESA mount. Those screw holes are already included here, so if you want to mount it to an arm or pick up an inexpensive stand, you can do that. In the box, you have all the cables you're going to need to hook this thing up with. I just used the USB Type-C cord, and that, along with the power cord, which also comes with the brick in the box, did it for me. But if you want to use HDMI and USB-C, you could do that. And there's even a DisplayPort cable here as well if you have a graphics card that you want to connect this to. All of the ports to do that are located along the top back of the tablet. Along the side of the tablet, you're also going to see some extra I/O. There's 2 USB ports, USB Type-A ports, and also a headphone jack. Going back to the box, we have this. These are all our pens and accessories in this handsome little box. In that, you get 2 pens, a standard stylus, as well as the slim stylus. One of the benefits here is that you can program those things separately. So if you want a different level of pressure curve on each stylus, you can do that. Also in that case are some extra nibs. There are your standard nibs, as well as some felt tip nibs if you want that scratchier drawing feel. I like the feel of those, although they're not quite as durable. So if you draw hard, you're probably going to wear those out a lot faster than a standard nib. And then underneath that, there is a cleaning cloth, and oh, look, a drawing glove. Now, I already mentioned the other accessories that are included here, like the key dial remote, as well as the G1 colorimeter. The star of the show, and the reason you're paying so much money for this, is the screen though. Part of that is the size. It is just so dang big. But the other part of that is the resolution. This is a 4K display, so it looks super crisp. One of the luxurious parts of this display is just how easy it is to navigate with the pen or with touch, because all of the elements on the screen are so big that it's really easy to toggle layers on and off with your finger or with the pen. On smaller displays, even with touch, that sort of thing is a little bit harder to hit. You can even use your fingers to use the drop-down menus because you don't need to be as accurate when you have a screen this size. Along the top of the tablet, there's this little flippy switch, so if you don't want touch at any point in time, you don't have to go into the settings if you don't want to and toggle it off. You could just use this little flippy switch along the top. Now, one thing that I have found is many of the drawing apps that I use have some extra settings in there. For example, Clip Studio, I've set it up so it doesn't notice my touch inputs nearly as much, which makes it a lot more usable. Oftentimes, an app like Photoshop, which doesn't have that, will record more palm prints. You might accidentally toggle a layer on and off, or you may accidentally select a layer and start drawing on the wrong layer because your palm hit it. That's part of the reason why with a touch display, I tend to kind of veer away from Photoshop a little bit. If you're really heavy into that Photoshop workload, you might want to kind of avoid the touch a little bit more because there's a lot of accidental touches there that you don't get in some other programs that give you more granular control. Now, most of my time drawing with this and testing this out was spent in Windows, but I did make sure to spend a little bit of time over on the Mac because touch interfaces, multi-touch gestures and that sort of thing tend not to work quite as well on the Mac as they do on the PC. And while the PC is more fluid and more natural feeling, the touch gestures do work pretty well here on the Mac as well. Pinching and zooming has a little bit more lag to it. It takes a second to like kick in and respond. Things like panning around with 2 fingers aren't quite as fluid, but generally it works. Don't expect an iPad-like experience, but they've worked out a lot of the quirks and problems that they've had with touch on some of their tablets in the past on the Mac. In terms of how my drawing experience changed based on the size, I found myself often focusing on just one little area of the screen. I wasn't really taking advantage of all of the real estate that was available to me. Part of this is just the way I'm used to drawing. Maybe if I use this all day, every day for weeks, I would get used to making larger sweeping circles and that sort of thing, but I still was pinching and zooming in and out of areas to get the details I was looking for, even though I didn't have to. Force a habit, I guess. The display also gets a little bit warm along the bottom, especially the bottom right-hand side. Now, I am right-handed, and I didn't really draw that far down. I drew more towards the middle of the display, so I didn't notice as much, but when my palm did slide down there, I thought, oh, okay, this is warm. Not hot, but warm. And if you're drawing in a warmer environment, you probably do want to utilize a drawing glove that comes with this in order to keep your hand from sticking to the screen too much. In terms of the quality of the pen, it's really good. I think Huion's latest pen technology is rock solid. Not quite as good as Wacom's, but boy, is it close. When I'm drawing slow, angled lines, I can still find wave when I go looking for it in a lot of programs, but like I mentioned earlier in the video, I often will turn on a stroke straightener to make my line art look a little bit better, and that really knocks out a lot of the wave that I find in this pen. Some other pens that you find, especially like on Android tablets or on Windows tablets and that sort of thing, there's too much wave to knock out. Here, it was pretty easy to do. When I'm thinking about drawing on something this big, the one area that I really liked were drawing some of these straight lines. When I was drawing some of the buildings or some of the elements that required big, long, straight lines. I have this bad habit of using my wrist to draw when I'm on the iPad or something because it's a smaller drawing area, whereas here I can keep my wrist solid and really just move my whole arm and get some nice sweeping lines, get them parallel to each other. Using touch gestures, I was able to easily rotate my canvas to get it comfortable so I could get some of those lines in there, and I just had to undo a lot less because of that. This is the second time I've had the chance to use this little Huion remote. I'm a fan of it. It's pretty good. It reminds me a lot of the Wacom remote that used to come with their tablets a few generations ago. There's this big click wheel that's really satisfying. Sometimes the wheels on these sort of things don't click. Personally, I like the clickiness. I think it feels really good. It lets me kind of get really granular if I'm changing my brush size or zooming in and out. The star of the show is the LCD screen on this thing. I know it's blinking when I film it in these videos. In real life, it does not blink, or at least it's not perceptible to the human eye. It's just something the camera catches. And I can connect this via a USB Type-C cable, or I can connect this via Bluetooth. I chose Bluetooth because I liked it. It's also a little better weighted than their old one, and it's just a better shape. You can hold it in your hand and just use it that way. That's kind of nice. Or you can rest it against the tablet itself and use it that way. There's a lot of rubber along the back, which helps it stick to the screen a little bit. Now, when I place it on the screen, sometimes it will slide down a little bit, but it tends to grip it okay. I think that's one area where I think it could improve a little bit. If it was just a touch heavier, it would probably grip the screen a little bit better and wouldn't slide slowly down. But that's really a nitpick. Overall, I'm a huge fan of this huge tablet. The price is really getting up there. We're getting into Wacom territory here when we're talking about $2,200 for something like this. But you are getting that spectacular color, you are getting that 4K display, You are getting that touch. You're even getting that higher refresh rate now if you need it. If you're on a budget and you still want something this big, I still think the old one that came out 2 years ago is a pretty darn good deal. Is just as good in most of those areas. I mean, you don't get the newer remote, you don't get the higher refresh rate, but the features that I really liked about it, the touch, the size, the pen, those are all the same. So that's the Huion Kamvas Pro 27, 144 Hz. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days.